Escape from Tarkov is a bit more complex than other games when it comes to pretty much every single one of its gameplay systems, and health is no exception. But when you're through with this video, you should be much more confident in your understanding of how health works in the game. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Before we get into it, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/JohnnyBusak or on TikTok under the same name. The best place to start with learning EFT's health system is understanding the overall health pool. By default, your character has 440 health points, and if that reaches 0, your character dies. The number 440 is determined by the sum of all of the health points of each individual body part of your character, which Tarkov splits up into legs, arms, stomach, thorax, and head. We can view all of this information as well as any current status effects by navigating to the health tab from the inventory screen. Each of these body parts has different characteristics, which we'll learn more about as we go, but the big thing to note immediately is that if the health points of your head or thorax reach 0, death will also occur. There are some exceptions to that, but we'll also get into those later. In order to heal our characters, we can use the various forms of medkits in the game. Each of these have a different total number of health points that they can heal, which is defined right on the item's icon. To use a medkit, you have 3 options. Option 1 is that you can right-click the medkit while it's in your inventory and select Use. This will heal the highest priority limb, typically the one with the lowest health points. You have to do this for each individual limb that needs healing. Your second option is to open the health tab and drag the medkit icon onto the limb that you want to be healed. This gives you more control over the order in which your character does the healing. Your third option is to hotkey the medkit, which you can do by placing it in your pockets or rig and pressing any number 4 through 0 while your mouse is hovering over the icon. By pressing the hotkey you set, your character can heal without opening the inventory screen, which also results in healing the highest priority limb. Once the limb is healed, the amount of health points that was healed on the limb is then subtracted from the total points of the medkit itself. If the medkit's points reach 0, it is no longer usable and disappears. As you can probably assume, healing in EFT takes time, and this time differs between each medkit type. This is defined by the use time when inspecting the medkit in question. With this in consideration, make sure that you're positioned out of enemy fire when healing. You can cancel healing mid-animation by left-clicking, but no healing will occur. Lastly, if you die or exit from a raid wounded, your character will have the option to heal using the therapist's services for a price. This can be expensive, so there's also the option of healing using medkits directly within your stash. Keep in mind, you only have one chance to receive healing from the therapist after each raid. If you return to your stash, you can't return to receive her healing service later. As stated earlier, each body part has its own health points which add together to be your character's total health. But what about when an individual body part reaches 0 HP? We already know that a head or thorax damage to 0 causes death, but what about the other parts? When these hit 0, we call them either destroyed or blacked. This puts the limb in a state of which it cannot be repaired using regular medkits anymore. Instead, we have surgical kits, which repair the destroyed limb, raising it back to 1 HP and lowering the max HP for that limb. From there, you can use a medkit to heal the limb back to its new max HP. Any further damage done to a destroyed body part will result in damaging the rest of the body. When an arm or leg is destroyed, it acts similar to being broken. Destroyed arms result in slower weapon movements and unsteady aim, as well as slower looting. Destroyed legs result in slower walking, as well as the inability to run and jump. A destroyed stomach results in rapidly decreasing energy and hydration. Currently, in EFT, there are 2 types of surgical kits you can use to perform surgery on a destroyed limb. The CMS, with a use time of 16 seconds and a total of 5 uses, and the Serve 12, with a use time of 20 seconds and a total of 15 uses. While the CMS only repairs destroyed body parts, the Serve 12 can additionally repair broken bones. While we're on the topic of broken or fractured bones, we might as well start talking about how they work within EFT. Arms and legs are the only areas where fractures can occur. They can be caused by weapon damage, as well as to the legs by falling from significant heights. The side effects of a fractured leg are the inability to run and decreased movement speed unless a painkiller is used, and damage will be taken while running or jumping. A fractured arm will cause unsteady aim, as well as slower reload speeds. The primary way for reparation of a fracture is through the use of splints, which Tarkov has 2 variants of. The immobilizing splint, capable of 1 use with a 5-second use time, and the aluminum splint with 5 uses and a 3-second use time. It's considered good practice to be carrying at least one of these options with you at all times while in raid. Next is Tarkov's bleed system. When taking damage, there's a chance that your PMC will acquire 1 or more bleeds, either light or heavy. Light bleeds will reduce the HP of every non-destroyed limb by 0.8 every 6 seconds until treated, while heavy bleeds will do the same for 0.9 HP every 4 seconds. Heavy bleeds will also leave a trail of blood on the ground while active and increase the rate of energy depletion. There are a handful of consumables specifically for treating bleeds. For light bleeds, there are the single-use aseptic bandage and the 2-use army bandage, both with a 2-second use time. For heavy bleeds, there are the single-use S-Mark tourniquet with a 5-second use time and the 3-use Calic B with a 3-second use time. While these tools are the most effective way of stopping bleeds, you also have the option of using many of the regular medkits as well. If you inspect a medkit, it will state if it can stop either type of bleed and how much of its total HP pool will be consumed when doing so. For example, an IFAK can stop both light and heavy bleeds. 30 HP from the IFAK's 300 total will be consumed when stopping a light bleed, while 210 will be consumed while stopping a heavy bleed. While it's great to have this functionality in a pinch, it's obviously not the most effective to consume nearly your entire medkit to stop a single bleed. It's usually best to carry a tourniquet or Calic B to stop heavy bleeds, then use a medkit for regular healing and light bleeds. When taking sustained damage from a bleed, there's a chance that a limb will be damaged to the point of it being destroyed, so it's necessary to act quickly when stopping them. This also means that your head or thorax can reach a destroyed state too as a result of leaving a bleed active too long. This is a unique situation, as your PMC will not instantly die, but any further damage taken to your head or thorax after that point will result in death. You'll also be unable to perform surgery on these areas, so it's best to leave the raid immediately if you reach this state. Another consumable that you'll be using frequently in nearly every raid is painkillers. There are many variations of painkillers, each differing slightly in how they'll affect your PMC. In short, they will temporarily remove certain status effects associated with pain, such as blurred vision when taking damage, or the inability to run while having a blacked or broken leg. Timing of painkiller use is crucial. If you're in a fight and an enemy fractures your leg, you'll no longer be able to run until the leg is repaired or until a painkiller is taken. In the same situation, if a painkiller was taken before the fight and an enemy fractures your leg, you'll be able to continue running until the painkiller wears off. Keep in mind though, as stated earlier, running on a fractured or blacked leg will cause you to take damage with each step across the entire body. This process of using a painkiller before a fight is often referred to as pre-medding and is a tactic that you should strive to add into your gameplay. Despite their great utility though, painkillers typically have negative side effects tied to them, such as rapidly decreasing your hydration and energy. Be sure to check these side effects by inspecting the various painkillers you acquire, and also prepare yourself with the proper provisions to counter them when entering a raid. While on the topic of painkillers, we can briefly touch on stims or injectors. EFT has a large number of different one-time use injectors, each with different use cases and effects. Some will temporarily boost certain skills, while some will work as an advanced painkiller. These can get pretty in-depth with all the different uses for them, so I'll leave the deep explanation of them for a different video. To stick to the basics, if you end up acquiring one, inspect it and see what status effects it has to offer. Lastly, we can go over the question of what meds you should be bringing with you into each raid. The answer to this can be highly opinionated, and there's no single perfect answer. Take into account the methods of others and develop a method that you're comfortable with. For myself, I prefer to hotkey both a medkit which has the ability to effectively stop light bleeds, such as an IFAK or Salewa, and something to stop heavy bleeds, preferably a Calic B. I'm also always sure to keep a splint, painkiller, and surgical kit in my secure container. This way, if I die, I'm not scrambling to repurchase as many meds each raid. By bringing all these meds into every raid, I have all my bases covered for any healing situation. And those are the basics of healing. With all that information, you should be on your way to handling whatever damage comes your way in Tarkov. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.